Alright guys, so today I'm going to show you an incredible looking card trick, and this is what it looks like. So we can actually do this with a completely borrowed and shuffled deck of cards. So let's imagine that the spectator has a deck of cards, and I'll tell them to shuffle it as much as they wish. And as they're shuffling, I will instruct them to just think of any card. It can be a completely free choice. They can change their mind a couple times back and forth until they settle on one. Once they've settled on one, they can finish shuffling the deck and just hand the cards back to me. So here's what's going to happen in this trick. I'm going to be dealing two piles of cards just like this, left and right, back and forth, just like this. And basically, whichever card you thought of, you can tell me, was, okay, 3 of hearts. So we're going to be looking for the card. Wait, oh my god. I'm so sorry. I just actually completely forgot the entire purpose of this trick, which was to pull out this card ahead of time. I'm so sorry. Where is that card? Ace of spades. Here it is. Ace of spades. I completely forgot to pull this out before the trick started. I meant to do this ahead of time. The entire point of this trick is we're going to be using this card to help us, okay? But it's not going to help us in the traditional sense where it's going to lead us to your card. It's actually going to basically do the opposite. This card is going to help us not find your card. Sounds a little bit confusing, I know, but I promise it will make sense in just a minute. So we will be using this card in just a second here, but okay, sorry. I completely forgot. What was the card you said? Just remind me. It was 3 of diamonds. Sorry. Oh no, 3 of hearts. Okay, good. Let's just make sure. Hopefully not. Okay, good. Not on the top of the deck. Not near the top. Okay, good. Also not on the bottom. Well, there's a lot of 4s there for some reason. That was a weird coincidence, but okay. Anyways, let's take the ace of spades, and I'm gonna have you basically insert it anywhere into the middle of the deck face up, just like this, okay? So you can place it anywhere you like. And now I will be doing the thing with the 2 piles that I meant to do earlier. So we're gonna be looking for that ace of spades wherever it ends up, and whichever pile it ends up in is the pile that we eliminate. And the reason for that is because, like I said earlier, the ace of spades is going to help us not find your card. So basically, whichever pile the ace of spades ends up in, that's basically telling us that your card is not located within this pile. So as you can see, since the ace of spades ended up in this pile, that means that the card cannot be here. So we're gonna eliminate all these cards, set them off to the side, and now we're gonna basically continue doing this until we narrow down the deck, okay? So let's take the ace of spades. Spectator, please insert it anywhere into the pile, okay? So they'll place it anywhere. And now once again, we will deal 2 piles of cards back and forth. And like I said, whichever pile it lands in will be the pile that we eliminate. So as you can see right over here is the ace of spades. So we will take this pile and get rid of it. Place the ace down. Okay, great. So let's do this a few more times. We will shuffle this pile, make it mixed up. Spectator, please take this, place it anywhere in the pile. Okay, great. And one more time, let's go ahead and see where the ace lands in the pile. So as you can see, it's over here. So that's telling us here that it is not any of these cards. We will eliminate it. And now deck is getting very, very small here, so this will not take long. Okay, spectator, place it anywhere in the middle. Let's go ahead and see where it lands this time. As you can see, it's over here. Okay, great. So as you can see, it's not any of these cards. And okay, I think we're left with about 5 cards or so. Great. So spectator, you can just slide the ace anywhere into the middle. Let's say you put it right here. And now we will eliminate the cards one final time. As you can see, since the ace is touching these 2 cards, that means your card is not one of these. Okay. So now we're left with just 3 cards, which I will leave on the table here. And the final decision is all up to the spectator. I'm just going to have the spectator either insert the ace in the middle here or in the middle here. It's completely up to them where they place it. But basically, wherever they place it, say they place it right here, since the ace is, touching these 2 cards, that means that your card cannot be this one, right? And it also means that your card cannot be this one. Let's just think about what just happened here. Remember, you shuffled the deck in the beginning, and then you just thought of a random card. Any card could have been possible. Then you took the ace every single round and you placed it anywhere you wanted into the deck. And as you can see, the ace basically touched every single one of these cards. And it basically determined that none of these cards were your card, because this is the one card that the ace did not touch. And it didn't touch it because it left it just for you, your card, the 3 of hearts. And that right there is the trick. And I absolutely love this trick. I think it's so cool. And if you guys want to learn how to do this trick, be sure to stick around for the tutorial. All right, guys, so here's the tutorial for the trick that you just saw. So one of my all-time favorite plots in Magic is the idea where you have an entire deck of cards, the spectator chooses or thinks of any card, and then they narrow down 51 cards and they're left with just one single card in the end, and that just so happens to be their selected card. I absolutely love this idea for a trick, and I have many different versions of this trick. This is one of the more recent ones that I've come up with, and I'm really happy with it, especially the ending. I think it's a really, really fair procedure, and it just seems impossible for the spectator to eliminate those cards, and you're somehow left with their thought of card. But yeah, completely impromptu trick, so let's get right into the tutorial. So you start by giving the deck to the spectator and have them shuffle, and then you're going to have them think of any card in their head. Let's just say, for this tutorial's sake, we choose the 6 of hearts, okay? So once the card has been thought of, the magician has no idea what the card is because the card is only in the spectator's mind. So what you're going to do is take the deck back and you're going to start dealing 2 piles of cards, and you're going to explain to the spectator the procedure of this trick, but you're not actually going to explain anything about the real procedure of this trick. This is all misdirection. You're going to pretend like you're starting the trick, and you're going to be very vague about the procedure and just say, for this trick, we're going to take these 2 piles of cards and just start dealing them back and forth just like this. And then what you're going to do is you're going to ask the spectator what their card is, and you're going to do this very subtly. You're just basically going to be asking them point blank, just say, and then with these 2 piles, we'll just take your card, whichever card it was, which was and then you kind of gesture for them to name it out loud, and then they'll tell you it was the 6 of hearts. And don't repeat the name of the card yourself, just say, and we'll take that card and we'll just look for it in the piles here. And then at some point you're going to kind of pause and look up for a second and act like you messed up the trick and say, shoot, you know what? I just completely forgot the entire beginning part of this trick, and then take the piles, put them all back together. Yeah, I completely forgot to go through the deck and remove this special card. And what you're going to do is you're going to look for the ace of spades, but at the same time, you're going to look for the card that they named. And what you're going to do is when you find the card that they named, you're actually going to cut it so that it is the second card from the bottom of the deck, or from the face of the deck. Now I'm just going to continue spreading until I find the ace of spades. I will out jog it, remove it, place the card down, and then place the deck face down on the table like this. And now I will explain the real procedure of this trick and tell them that this card is going to be our helper card, but it's not going to help us in the traditional way. It's going to help us by not finding your card. And don't really explain what that means quite yet, because you're going to use the next part of that trick to explain. But now what you're going to do is take the entire deck and flip it over face down. And now you're going to ask them to remind you what was the card they thought of. And you're going to act like you forgot what it was because some time has passed. And this is a very, very key thing, because it sort of makes the spectator believe that you genuinely don't remember what the card was and that you have no control over it. And this next part will convince them even more of that, because when you ask them to tell you, once again, 6 of hearts, you're going to say, okay, let's just make sure it's not on the top here. And then you're going to flip over the top card, and obviously it's not going to be on top. And then you're going to take this card, put it in the middle, and then show the top card again and show the next card and say, okay, great. So now it's nowhere near the top. This card can just go right back on top. You don't need to put it in the middle. And then you're going to do this extra subtle thing as well, where you take a look at the bottom card together and say, and it's also not on the bottom. Great. And then what you're going to do is remove the bottom card and then place that in the middle. But you have to turn your wrist face down before you remove it, because otherwise they would see the card is actually second from the bottom. So to hide that, you just turn the deck back over, take the card out, and then bury this in the middle somewhere. And now you immediately spread the deck on the table. So now the spectator genuinely believes that the card is nowhere near the top or the bottom. If they were thinking that you were just controlling it, now they have no idea where it could be. So now the real trick begins, and the trick is as follows. You have them take the ace of spades face up, and they can genuinely place it anywhere face up in the deck. It doesn't really matter. And there's basically 2 outcomes that can happen. You're going to deal through the piles, and always the pile with the ace is going to be the pile that you get rid of. But there's 2 possibilities that can happen. The one possibility is that the card genuinely does not end up in that pile, so that you can get rid of the pile with the ace. And the other possibility is that the card does end up in that pile. Now, how are you going to keep track of which pile it ends up in? Well, it's a very simple answer to that question. Their card is always going to be the last card that you deal, because it's on the bottom of the deck. So all you have to do is just look for which pile the last card ends in and see if it is the same pile as the ace. So let's begin. We're going to start with round 1. where we deal 2 piles of cards, and we're going to see where the ace lands. So here we can see the ace lands in the pile on the right. And since this is a deck of 52 cards, I already know, since I'm dealing right to left, the last card will be also dealt to the right. I know now that the spectator's card and the ace are in the same pile. So if this is the case, you're going to have to do this out. And this is going to apply for every single round that follows. If the selection ends up in the same pile as the ace, obviously the rule that I stated is that we have to get rid of this pile, but if we got rid of the pile, then we'd be getting rid of the card. So how are we going to maintain the card? What you're going to do is spread through and remove the ace of spades, and then you're going to get a pinky break on the selection like this. You're going to place the ace directly on top of it like this and say, so this is the pile that the ace was located in, and now you're going to grab both cards with your thumb. So now you're holding both the ace and the 6 of hearts together. You grab these 2 cards as one, and now you can take the pile and eliminate it and put it off to the side. And then you're going to take the ace and the card and drop it directly on top of the remaining pile. And now you've basically controlled their selection to the top of this pile. So that's one possible outcome that can happen. The second possible outcome, let's just say, for example, that the last card was dealt to this side and the ace was in this pile. So now the pile with the ace genuinely does not contain their selection since it was dealt over here. So in this case, all I would have to do is remove the ace and then get rid of the pile. And that's all I'd have to do. And now the outcome is exactly the same. Also, one extra little thing is I like to take the pile that I eliminate and put it face up, just so that it shows, all these random cards that they could have ended up on, right? So as you can see, both outcomes will result in the selection being left on top of the remaining pile. So now you're going to tell them to do it again for the next round. And before you start the next round, you're going to take the top card and shuffle it to the bottom so that you can actually do the entire procedure again. So do an overhand shuffle by peeling off one card, which is going to be their card, and then continue shuffling the rest on top. And what this looks like is it looks like you're mixing up the order of the cards, and you are doing that, but you're also just controlling the 6 of hearts back to the bottom of the deck. So now once again, spectator can place the ace anywhere in the spread, face up, just like this, and now we'll do the exact same procedure again. So I'm just going to look for where the ace lands. So in this case, it's on the left side. And now we're going to look for where the bottom card lands. And the bottom card lands on the right side. So if they land on opposite sides, now I can just freely remove this because there's no card to control here. So I can just take this out and remove it, just like that. And now one more time, we'll take the top card, shuffle it to the bottom, just like this. So now the 6 of hearts is back on the bottom. And we will do this for round 3. Place the ace in the middle of the pile. And let's see where the ace lands in the third round. So here it is on the left side, and the last card dealt ends up once again on the opposite side. So this is, obviously the best case scenario if this happens, because then it allows you to do the least amount of sleight of hand. It's going to be random every single time because the spectator is placing that ace wherever they want. So you can't really predict where it's going to happen, but it doesn't really matter because both outs are extremely easy to handle. So then once again, you shuffle the card to the bottom, and then this is going to be the final round 4, which is very simple. Once again, you're going to place the ace in. So now the ace is on the right side, and now the selection also ends up on the right side. So I will have to do the sleight of hand here where I take the card out. I'm going to get a break on that top card. I'm going to take the ace and the card, hold them together. So I have both cards back to back, eliminate these cards, and then immediately drop these 2 cards together on the pile. So now I will take this, put it here, and then once again, shuffle the card to the bottom, and there will always be 5 cards left in this final round here. At this point, what I do, just to make things very simple, is I tell the spectator, just insert it anywhere. And what I'm going to do is riffle off 2 cards. So the card is on the bottom, and there's 5 cards. I'm going to riffle off 2 cards, and then just ask them to place it here. And it looks like this is a random spot, but you are, very deliberately putting it in the 3rd position down. So I'm just riffling off 1, 2, and then I have them place the ace directly in that spot. And basically, if the ace is right here, now you don't have to do any sleight of hand. You can just freely deal out the cards, and the last card dealt will be in the opposite pile. So now you tell the spectator that the cards touching the ace are the cards that we will get rid of, and you can freely show these cards are not the 6 of hearts. This is my favorite part of the trick, which is the ending here, because it's so fair. So the 6 of hearts will be left on the top, and this is the one round where you don't need to shuffle it to the bottom. You could if you'd like, but you really don't have to at this point. Just know that it's going to be the top card of these 3. You're going to leave these 3 cards spread out on the table, and now you're going to have the spectator have a free choice to either insert it into this position or to this position. So there's 2 outcomes that can happen. The one outcome that you're hoping for is that they place it on the lower half over here, because then it's the cleanest outcome where you can sort of slide this card off and say, look, the 2 cards touching the ace are not your cards, correct? And then you are left clean, and that is the end of the trick. That's the best possible outcome. There is one other outcome that can happen, which is they take the ace and they place it in this position. Now, if they do place it here and it is touching the 6 of hearts, it's a very, very simple way to basically undo this. You're going to square the card up, so now there's 4 cards in the middle, and you tell the spectator, we're going to mix this up just a little more to make it even more randomized. Do you want to switch the 2 outer cards, or do you want to switch around the 2 inner cards? Think about it. Whichever one they say, it's going to result in the same outcome, meaning that the ace will no longer be touching their card. So if they switch the 2 outer cards, let's say we switch around the cards on the outside, so that one goes here and this one goes here. Now you can slide this card off, and this is their selection. So now you can end with these 2 cards touching the ace, and these are not the selection. So that is one way to end the trick. And then the other possibility, let's say it's here, and then you ask them, do you want to switch the outer cards or the inner cards? If they switch the inner cards, look, exact same thing. We're going to switch the inner cards around, just like this. And now, once again, the 2 cards touching the ace will be the ones that we eliminate, just like this. And now you are left with the 6 of hearts. So really, it's just that extra step of, do you want to switch around the outer or the inner cards? It goes by completely unnoticed, and it honestly makes the trick seem a little more randomized and more shuffled in a way. But yeah, basically the trick will always end up with the selection being the 1 card that was not touched by the ace of spades. And yeah, that is the trick. I think it's a super, super simplistic method, but it's super effective, and it hits very, very hard. And the spectators will have no idea how they were able to insert this card anywhere into the deck, and somehow it was able to lead to every card besides their thought of card. And they're also going to forget in the beginning of the trick when you had them name the card the first time. They're not going to remember that at all. So they're really going to have no idea how you were able to control that card in the deck. So yeah, that is the trick, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. It's one of my all-time favorites. I really, really do love this trick. But yeah, anyways, see you guys next time. Bye.